We are on day 11 of our ADHD-Friendly Advent study, and if you're like, hold on a second, wasn't day 11 yesterday? Yes, it was. You are not crazy. I filmed and edited a 20-minute video, and the TikTok gods frowned upon us and deleted it instead of posting it. So we are rolling with it. I am quickly recapping day 11, and then I will film today's actual video, which is day 12. Don't mind my hair. I just washed it, and it always gets a little like founding fathery up at the top. / romance from K-pop Demon Hunters. That is the theme here. We're rolling with it. If this is your first time seeing my face, hi, my name is Rachel. I'm an ADHDer and a Jesus lover, and I help women with chaotic brains seek, find, and live the abundant life Jesus promises. We are on day 11 of our Advent study that is specifically designed to be low effort, high impact. We are working with our brains that God gave us, not against them. So today's video is going to be pretty short. I am not going to go through all of the things so that I'm able to put out a full-length video for day 12. So let's just go ahead and roll with it. If you don't have your workbook yet, you can download that for free over at the link in my profile. All of the information is in there, and it is designed to be able to be worked through however works best for your brain. You can do everything all in one chunk. You can split it up however you want, or there is a suggested schedule in there if structure is more your jam. So this week's song is "O Come All Ye Faithful." I really like the Shane and Shane version, so I would like to encourage you now to pause this video, go listen to the song, bonus points for reading the lyrics along with it, and then come back here when you're ready to move on. All right, now before we dive into today's scripture, I would like to encourage you again to pause the video, take some time to settle. Whether your environment is completely peaceful and quiet like mine is right now because I don't have kids this week, or you are dealing with a lot of chaos, just find what realistic peace looks like for you right now, and then just take some time. I really like to close my eyes, do some 4-7-8 breathing. I also do have the prayer that I use to kind of introduce my heart to quiet time, open my heart and my mind up to the Lord and invite him in. That is in my workbook, in the workbook that is available for free at the link in my profile. So definitely go grab that. Otherwise, take a moment here, pause, and invite the Lord into your quiet time. And then once your heart is ready and you've kind of settled a little bit, today we are reading Luke 1:57 through 66. I am reading in the ESV. Now the time came for Elizabeth to give birth, and she bore a son. And her neighbors and relatives heard that the Lord had shown great mercy to her, and they rejoiced with her. And on the 8th day they came to circumcise the child. And they would have called him Zechariah after his father, but his mother answered, "No, he shall be called John." And they said to her, "None of your relatives is called by this name." And they made signs to his father, inquiring what he wanted him to be called. And he asked for a writing tablet and wrote, "His name is John." And they all wondered. And immediately his mouth was opened and his tongue loosed, and he spoke, blessing God. And fear came on all their neighbors. And all these things were talked about throughout all the hill country of Judea. And all who heard them laid them up in their hearts, saying, "What then will this child be? For the hand of the Lord was with him." I love that we get to see this kind of redemption arc for Zechariah. He had been mute. It seems like he may also have been deaf, judging by the text here. They're like making signs at him. So I am not 100% certain if he was deaf as well as mute, or if they maybe just thought he was. Either way, there's like a biblical charades game going on here where they're making signs at him. He's writing stuff down, and then when he steps out in faith and is like, "No, we are not going along with the pull of culture, with the pull of tradition. We are not naming this kid Zechariah. His name is actually John." Then this act of faith is what frees him to be able to speak again. So it's cool to see, this guy who had been wrestling with doubt, who basically had told the angel when the angel came to him and was like, "Hey man, congrats, you and your wife are going to have a baby." His response, when you look at the original words used, is basically like, "And how am I supposed to believe that? Because we're old." And that hasn't been the case so far. So his doubt then, we now see throughout the course of Elizabeth's pregnancy, changes into faith, and he pushes back on the culture, expresses his faith, and that is what then frees him up to be able to speak again. So I love seeing that. It's a really interesting cultural moment when that translates even to now. Sharing the name of your child is an interesting experience, especially when your family is like, "What are you doing? What is that name?" Personally, when I was pregnant with my son, his name is Colson. I really liked the name Bear. I thought that was just like a really cool name, a really like gritty name, which my maiden name is Grit. My last name legally is Grit. Again, at the time, I had a different last name, but I was like, oh, like Bear Grit. That's really cool. Like there's, of course, Bear Grylls and all that. My ex-husband was not on board with that name. It took us quite a while to come to the name Coulson, but then once we kind of landed on that and agreed with it, we were like, okay, we're gonna kind of keep it between us. We kind of told our families, like just our close families and friends, but we weren't publicly announcing the name. And then I remember at my baby shower sitting there and we're like, okay, it was a bit smaller of a shower because it was still COVID times and I was very nervous about COVID. And so we announced the name. We're like, okay, his name is Coulson. And immediately one of my then mother-in-law's friends goes, oh, that's that Machine Gun Kelly's name. And we're like, okay. Yeah, if you didn't know, Machine Gun Kelly's name is actually Coulson. Fun fact, his real first name is Richard and his middle name is Coulson, but he goes by Coulson. And despite my little guy being a blonde-haired, blue-eyed little rocker buddy, he is not named after Machine Gun Kelly. But we got some pushback for that name, and there were some associations made that we were not super thrilled with. But that it's just so interesting. And I've heard so many horror stories of people who share the name that they're excited about with their family and they get major pushback. And so being able to stand firm on that name that you've chosen is hard enough, let alone a name that goes against such a strong culture at the time of honoring family by keeping names going in the family. And so Zechariah, it's not even as simple as what we experience today when we push back on people who don't like the name that we chose. He has to push back in a time where this is something that is done. You name kids after existing family members. And he's basically like, yeah, so an angel told me we're actually not going to do that. So it's cool to see kind of how these things can translate from then to modern times. All right, let's dig into today's journaling prompt. So we are on scripture journaling prompt number 4. Share about a time when your disobedience led to God's discipline of you. How did this discipline change you? What fruit of the Spirit do you see in your life as a result? The fruit of the Spirit are laid out in Galatians 5:22 through 23 if you need a refresher. So at this point, I am going to turn you loose to go do the journaling portion. I'm not going to explain all of it today and share my answers today because I want to make sure I have time to do a video for day 12. But I would highly encourage you to break out your actual physical journal right now, like pen and paper, put pen to paper. That is going to be the best way for you to really think through things, absorb information. Research shows us that writing is so good for us. However, I do understand that sometimes we just don't have the spoons for things. So if typing out an answer is easier, that is totally valid. You can type right in your workbook, or you can type in a note on your phone, in a text to a friend or yourself. Fun fact, texting yourself is one of the best life hacks I've ever figured out. So if you need to text yourself, whatever the case may be, even if you record yourself talking out loud, or you just sit and think for a little bit, whatever's going to be accessible for you today, I would encourage you to take some time. You can rewind the video if you need to hear the prompt again, but take some time and actually sit with the journaling prompt. Okay, that is all I have for you today. Make sure you follow so that you get notified of future videos. These are also all uploaded as podcast episodes. My podcast is the True Grit Podcast with Rachel Grit. You can find the link to that in my bio, in my profile. I'm trying to avoid the B word because TikTok doesn't like it. But you can go find that as well. Make sure you get your workbook downloaded. That is refreshed every week. I update the workbook every week with the coming week's content. So you will just copy and paste the new content into your workbook as we go along. And then you can complete the work in that workbook. You can print it out if that's more your jam, whatever the case may be. So make sure you subscribe to the podcast. If audio is more how your brain works best, Ranger, no. If audio is better for you, you can just listen to the podcast episodes. There's a little playlist on the podcast page with all of that. But in the meantime, make sure you go do the journaling prompt, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye.